We are back with another entry in the long-running Severely Premier Seer series, How Much Life Can You Possibly Waste, as well as Do Please Tell Me Where I Can Stick It, and the answer is where the sun doesn't shine. That's right, my bedroom, because I'm going all out today with degenerate time-wasting nonsense. Is the kind of thing I would normally say when discussing what it takes to achieve everything in a game, but with a live service, where my huge ass quotes thank you, game like Team Fortress 2 where there is a living and breathing economy, the way to measure obtaining and doing everything is far different than usual. First difference is the need for money, more than you have, more than I have, but if we combined our wealth, it'd be more than we both have, but it doesn't matter, this is a theory video. By the end, I'll give you an hourly time requirement for doing everything I could possibly think of in TF2, as well as the financial requirements for that goal. Let's get things we can definitely measure out of the way. Firstly, there's not a story mode to mark for completion or anything. I mean, there's this basic training, it takes like 15 minutes, so fine, there, add 15 minutes to the total. After this, it's time to jump in-game and look at the achievement system, a list of a bunch of lick and dick that makes you accomplish arbitrary challenges, but I'm not sure I can calculate the specific time it takes to do anything because most of the achievements are based on how good you are. Are you dog shit? Most people are, I'm not, but depending on the player, getting every single achievement could be a slower or faster endeavor. So we'll have to take some educated guesses, and I have a decent way to do this. On the Team Fortress 2 wiki, somewhere where I'm spending a lot of my time to make this video, the achievements have been ranked in terms of difficulty. Using this and my own in-game statistics will get me some rough time frames for everything. Now, I've played the game for nearly a real year of time, and I've gotten 421 out of 520 achievements, so I can kind of estimate what's really time-consuming or tedious to actually achieve. So, I counted every easy, medium, and hard achievement from the wiki, and the totals came out to 152 easy, 151 medium, and 64 hard. These are just general ones. We'll get to the actual pains in the sack in a sec. Let's make this simple, because these could all mostly take like 1 minute of actual gameplay. On average, let's just say 1 hour for every easy achievement, since some are actually time-based, and who knows, maybe you don't know how to play heavy. 2 hours for each medium, and 4 hours for each hard. Again, if you're great, i.e. you're me, then you won't have trouble. 5 milliseconds for each one. If you smell like springtime shit, then a bit longer. Who knows? Arbitrary. Thanks for coming. Although, hang on, we're not done yet. Save the worst for last. We've got some of the events to take care of. Would rather have an anal event. Little calculator deems that this would take 710 hours, but I'm going to tack on 300 hours for all the various win an assload of times on all these maps. Fuck you, since they will obviously take a lot of effort. Most of these extra achievements aren't so bad, except there's a few more win a million times ones, so add another 300 hours. And then finally, the big kahuna of the whole lineup, Metal Massacre, kill 1 million robots in MBM. Now that would take you more time than anyone would ever want to play man versus machine, and the wiki so kindly elaborates that this single achievement would roughly take 1,098 hours of mediocre gameplay on the most robot-dense map in the game. Let's take the median between this number and perfection and call it 750 hours, meaning we're adding another 1,050 hours to the total. After this, there's the matter of getting every strange in the game to 8,500 points. A strange weapon is simply one that counts kills up to a maximum rank of Hail Zone, which usually requires a lot of playtime with a single weapon. This is, very time-consuming, awful, and shitty, but I've already covered this topic. Copy-paste, easy money. But what if we wanted to be theoretical? More on this later, actually. It's too stupid to do right now. But then it's time for the thing on the thumbnail. What about collecting every item in the game? That's where the challenge goes from what the fuck to get the fuck out of here, because not only does the monetary requirement become extraordinary, but it's actually impossible to own every item ever made. For example, take this medal. This was the Heals for Reals event, a charity community tournament, and I actually played in it, and our team were the winners. So as they do with all sorts of competitive events, Valve would give the players a medal for first, second, and third place, as well as a participation medal if you got ransacked. But seeing as we won, we also did not lose that event, so you cannot physically own every item that exists unless you're 4 people at once. But even then, if you wanted to just have every medal from every event the game has ever seen, you'd be first the greatest player of all time, and secondly, I think you'd be the fucking Flash, because you'd have to be all across the world constantly. So I took to the wiki again to determine the maximum number of competitive medals you can actually own, and let's run them all down. Pad out that runtime. Large advertising money. And that does it. Let's recap. You need to live in most countries of the world, play in every single event ever hosted, and, for most of them, help set up and maintain each of those events as well. With a high potential total of around 510, give or take some, this is an absolute pain in the membrane to accomplish. There's no way to actually determine how long this would literally take, but we can have a go. In real world terms, this is over 10 years of events, by the by, the earliest of these tournaments beginning in 2010. Hope you've been hanging around for a while. Say each event took an average of 20 hours to complete, with some being full seasons of matches matches and others being an afternoon tournament. Easy math dictates that this would take 10,200 hours of gameplay, and truthfully, that's probably a lowball estimate, but that's what I'll throw onto our counter. Oh yeah, by the way, you have to be Notch as well. Ain't that a bitch? Now it's time we measure tradables, and boy oh boy, you're going to get messed up here. I took to backpack.tf and opened up the spreadsheets they have for tradable items, and good lord, this fucking sucked. Okay, let's get on the same page because you might be asking, item rarities, how do they work? Well, you got unique, strange, vintage, genuine, haunted, collectors, unusual, self-made, hell, even Valve-made. So guess what? You aren't getting them all, unless again you're somehow Notch, while being Robin Walker, while being the sole person that invented and created the models for everything in the entire game. You're not actually able to achieve every item in TF2. It's actually so remarkably impossible, it's insane. But we can get as close as we can, so the good place to start is here on this spreadsheet. Let me briefly explain the rarities for non-degenerate TF2 players. Unique items are your most common stuff. They are the basic variety of everything. Genuine usually means you bought a game and received what is normally a unique item, but it's now got green text. Big advantage. Vintage items are unique items that existed prior to an update nearly 15 years ago. Surprisingly, most of these are not that expensive. Some are nut job shit, but it'll all blend together soon enough. Strange items are obtained by opening crates with keys valued at $2.50. Get fucked, but they can keep track of kills and points, hence our discussion on stranges earlier. Haunted items are from the Halloween events, and they're pretty easy to obtain. And finally, collectors. Now, collectors items have two thorns on either side, your ass or whatever body part you like. And the first one is that you need to obtain a very rare kit, say the eviction notice collector's kit or whatever it's called, who cares? And then you need 200 of the same item to fulfill the requirements in order to produce a red texted item of the same type. It doesn't do anything special either, it's just red. That's a wonderful addition to the game. There are more horrendous things to discuss, like this paint system over here, but look away from that for a second. Let's get this out of the way first. Determining the value of this stuff was only possible thanks to this wonderfully created simple spreadsheet that's currently sitting on backpack.tf, the premier location for TF2 item trading. Now, whether you're looking to sell or buy items, there's nowhere better to start trading. So if you want to get started, use my code. I don't have a code. I'm not even sponsored by this organization. This is just a joke. Fuck. But they have a great website set up for lunatics like me, because guess what? I counted this. I literally sat here and don't say I never did anything for you. I wasted probably 5 hours pumping numbers into Excel, having everything lag out on me, and I got the most accurate price of all these items put together. Now, the currency we should talk about is a debate, so let me clarify. Refined metal is a creatable currency that once had value. Now it does not. Roughly 80 refined equals 1 key, and from Valve, they run you about $2.50 from their store, but secondhand, it's a bit lower. For clarity, I'll convert everything into the value of keys, and I'll set the price of keys at $2.15 USD. Since this spreadsheet totaled 80,518 keys, that equates to $173,000, $113.70 which, wow, where can I put my credit card information? I gotta get some of that. Now, you might not believe this, but that was the easy part. The harder part involves the less common rarities, and we'll ascend upwards towards a more ambiguous territory and get the most iconic aspect of TF2 trading out of the way first, the unusual. In Team Fortress 2, the Manco Supply Crate is the only way to obtain unusual items at a rate of around 0.66% according to something I've never seen before. Everyone has always said it was a 1% chance, but fine, whatever. When you roll the luck required for an unusual, you get a random hat. Most of the time there's now taunts and weapon skins too, combined with a random effect. This particle effect changes based on what crate you're opening, meaning there's a grand total of 240 effects on currently 572 cosmetics. The 82 taunts can have one of 99 effects, and the 44 weapons can have one of 5 effects. There's no need for a brain or math doing ability to determine the number of possible unusuals is fetid as fuck. It goes without saying. Very many different combinations of unusual do not exist, and probably will never exist. And of the ones that do exist, some people are going to drag your wallet through a ball crusher. They want some big bucks for these items. Or you can get a steaming hat, literally an item called the steaming pile of shit hats that's actually still worth like $34. Or take this one, it's only worth $34,000. That's not stupid or anything. You can either get yourself a really nice car or some sparkly antlers. I know which one I would prefer. So yeah, as my script says, this total wasn't easy to earnestly determine, but I eventually did come to a reasonable estimate of the financial requirement for this. And again, thank you backpack.tf, because they have a specific section for all unusual prices that have been listed. Now, whether or not these prices were actually paid by someone else is not wholly known, but this is at least where the going rate is, so to speak. I clicked a few thousand times, and through importing all this data to Excel, I determined that the key investment needed to buy all the unusuals that the game has ever seen through trading is roughly, big caps, roughly worth 3,209,173 keys. This gives us an extra requirement of about just $6.9 million. That's great. Now, before we get further abstract, let's have some fun and do some conversion. Say you make $8 an hour and you have no other expenses because you have chosen to live under a bridge with you and only your computer connected to the water wheel. Also, you don't eat because why not? Now, how many hours of work would it take to buy everything we've established so far? Well, let's see. Take $6.9 million, add our measly extra $173,000 from earlier for about $7,070,000 and divide that by 8 and oops, don't live long enough. 884,090 hours of life needed working to get all the cash necessary at $8 an hour. Now, how long do humans live? Let's see. Oh yeah, on average 700,000 hours. So stop being lazy and start living longer than you already are. And this only represents a large number of the items in TF2, not even all of them. So yeah, if you wanted to financially bankroll this amount of items to this point, you need to be like Jeff Bezos. There's not much of an alternative. Maybe Bobby Cott would be sufficient, but hey, you'd have to live with yourself being Bobby Cott. Fucking kidding? But we're not even done yet. We're now in Grand Central Inflation because I have to somehow determine the price of all the weapon skins. Okay, 10th lesson for today. You open up different crates sometimes and they drop weapon skins with 5 different qualities. Battle scarred, well worn, field tested, minimal wear, and factory new, with each of these having the potential to be unusual and strange in addition. Once again, math, what a powerful ability. I am not going to figure this shit out correctly. Really, there's no easy way to do this, so I had to just kind of go to the wiki and figure out what the maximum number of individual items you could unlock is, because there's 5 different qualities of each item, and each one can be strange, unusual, and regular, meaning 20 permutations for each item, but these items can be used on 44 different types of weapons, meaning there's a grand total of 118,440 skinned weapons. Fuck, 90% of these have never existed, so let's just say you have world-ending luck and you unbox all of these items yourself. I didn't do this with unusuals because I forgot to do it, oh fuck. But I'm just gonna throw in an extra million keys and call it 2.15 million extra dollars. That's a gross underestimate, by the way, but what does it matter? We're already working overtime at the big Donald's. We'll divide that by $8 an hour again for some more raw time of 268,750 hours. Finally, there are community, self-made, and Valve, which all represent doing ridiculous things that most people won't do. You get community items for major contributions to the game, and I don't think people get many more than one, so to get every item with that rarity, call it another lifetime, which we've established at 700,000 hours, because you have to rebuild the code and, like, I don't know, hold a press conference, update the game 15 times alone, you know, do some wicked stuff. Self-made is given to model makers and the like, so unless you are everyone, that is not happening. You could actually buy some of these, so that's cool, but you definitely can't buy all of them. And finally, Valve quality items are only granted to the developers, and even then, there's not many of them, so again, get a job at Valve and maybe you could grant yourself this. Plus, there's some ridiculously rare, untradeable items and others that require that you've been playing since the beginning. Then, like the hat that was specifically made for Notch, there's also this reindeer hat that apparently only one have ever spawned, and people from fuck corners of the internet claim that the chances were something like 1 in 742,000 to actually obtain this item through an old Steam promotional. And I don't know how long it would take to ever find this shit. It's literally never ever been seen, so here's a question mark, all encompassing, fits the bill, moving on. Finally, there's superfluous things to accomplish, like get to the top rank in the competitive and casual modes, which is 1,200 levels for casual and 13 for competitive. Neither of these things are really worth adding to the total. We can assume if you've gotten every weapon to Hail Zone, you've also done this. Except maybe competitive, because I think like 5 people are playing that mode at any given time, and they're all bots from Rwanda, so good luck if you actually wanted to get that. Alright, grand total, the hours required to achieve everything in TF2 is around 1,878,712. Slap a question mark at the end of that, it really deserves it. And that's about the extent of what you can reasonably, I'll throw brackets the size of Utah around that word, reasonably accomplish in TF2. Unreasonably, well, I've got a thought. As I mentioned long ago, when talking about strange quality items, you can continuously rank them up past their final actual rank of Hail Zone, which requires 8,500 kills. But each one does actually have an official cap where it will stop growing no matter what you do. And that number is only, you know, 4,294,967,295, or for nerds, the unsigned 32-bit integer. So how long to get 4 billion kills on every item in the game? Well, let's just wing it and say you get 2 kills per minute on every item in the game, and there's 140 unique strange weapons. 140 times 4.2 billion is 601,295,421,300 kills divided by 2 equals 300 billion 640 minutes, which is around 5 billion hours, which is about 7,158 lifetimes. So you're just lazy. You need to up your kills about 200 times per minute, and then you'll still die a few hundred times before you actually do this. If that's not fucking nonsense, I don't know what you want from me. Also, you should probably kill every player in the game at least once, and you also can get the dueling minigame to the 32-bit integer, so also get all those other rare hats that you can't trade for and get, and also paint every unusual every color, and fuck this, good night. You cannot achieve everything in TF2.